Welcome back to the Red Path. Today, I'm going to give my opinion on the top 5 units for the World Eaters right now. My previous top 5 back in September with Dara had Raptors in 5th, Disciples 4th, Berserkers in the 3rd spot, the Drill coming in 2nd and Warp Talons as number 1. Dara's top 5 began with the Drill, the Leviathan in 4th place, Raptors 3rd, the Apostle 2nd and Berserkers in 1st. Let's see how much my opinion has changed over the last 4 or 5 months. Before I begin though, let's caveat that this is purely my opinion. We all have our own playstyles and list archetypes, so this is not an objective ranking, but I do feel that as the meta shifts and rules and points are altered, some units rank up and down over time. Alright, let's kick off with my number 5. That's right, the metal box is back. Honestly, the concept of being a transport is the most critical aspect here, so if the Drill, the Dreadclaw, or even the Land Raider is your preferred transport, that can easily replace this as your chosen delivery option. But I choose the Rhino because it's our cheapest option. It's old school as hell, and it just somehow feels very World Eaters. The reason I'm including it, well, there's 2 of them. First, the 2022 missions feed really well into wanting that 9-inch disembark turn 1, and that's something you can benefit from with a transport. As much as primaries feel less important now with their victory point drop, I'd argue that they're actually stealthily more important, as you may find your opponents focusing less on them and allowing you an opportunity to score a little more than you typically would. In addition to this, with expected Tau builds including an unhealthy amount of non-line of sight and Eldar on the way likely to do the same, we're going to want to be shifting our list towards transports and reserves as much as possible. Keeping our trade units alive an extra turn or 2 is going to be absolutely vital. And so, for these reasons, I now pronounce the Humble Rhino the 5th best World Eaters unit of February 2022. Moving on to the 4th spot. I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here. I am hereby promoting this unit from the dumpster of the Marine Codex to a unit that is absolutely worth considering. Back in May, Dara and I did our absolute best to make 2 particular units work, the Master of Executions and Chosen. Sadly, the Master is still not a great unit for World Eaters, but the Chosen, in my humble opinion, are definitely worth a look. Having an extra attack and leadership over the regular Chaos Space Marine, who while slightly cheaper are still not great for us. The important aspect of Chosen is Lightning Claws at 3 points, 2 points cheaper than anywhere else except Terminators, and a wealth of weapons options. For 85 points you can lay down 31 attacks hitting on 3s with exploding 6s at strength 4 with rerolls to wound at AP 2 and 1 damage. They are more offensive than Warp Talons but lacking the mobility. On top of this, they'll also have 5 bolt guns, or if you're willing to pay, an additional 5 claw attacks or special or combi weapons. The importance of trading well is paramount right now, and there's going to be more and more armies running expendable units we have to slaughter through. Tau drones protecting suits, Eldar infantry screening us out, and being able to quickly eat through a unit protecting an objective, or being able to threaten heavier targets with some CP expenditure is critical. Combining Chosen with a transport disembark has already been clutch for me, and whilst we can expect their rules and loadouts to change with a book, right now, smoke them if you got them. In 3rd place, well, if you're not running at least some of these, why are you even eating worlds? I'm of course talking about Berserkers. Now, I will admit that I don't spam them as much as many players. Some of the most successful World Eater lists run multiple squads ranging between 5 and 10 per unit. And whilst I prefer my cultists for action monkeys, I always enjoy having at least 1 squad of Berserkers hanging back until the late game where they can really shine. Once your opponent has expended their CP and no longer has easy access to interrupt, well, this is the best time in my opinion to unleash Berserkers. Trading them early can be necessary of course, but they lose a lot of efficiency when they are countered by a 2 CP interrupt. But if you time things right and throw them forwards to swing a primary and your opponent has no way of preventing you throwing 2 buckets of dice, well, they really pay off. Combining these with other infantry that can hit like a rock, you can really develop a powerful counter-offensive army list. Sadly, trapped at AP 1 or 2 and mostly single damage, Berserkers have suffered in the overall meta, losing their obliterating power from 8th edition, but they are nevertheless a great tool that is now perhaps better used as a surgical strike over a blunt force instrument. Coming in at second, a unit that has been great for the best part of 2 editions and seen highs and lows, being taken in multiple legions to great success, the Lord of Skulls. I finally broke down and bought myself one of these back in October and had a lot of fun using him in tournaments. I took a small break at the beginning of the new year toying with other heavy variants, but have finally admitted that Demon Forge on a Khorne Lord of Skulls is just so stupidly broken that I'd be a fool not to use it competitively. The sheer amount of dakka and damage one of these can cause to just about anything on the table, whether shooting or fighting, and the damage it will absorb make it such a useful unit to draw fire away from your transports and point scoring infantry. Being able to re-roll everything to hit and wound for a single CP is absurd, and I honestly almost feel bad when playing against a non-top tier list. That aside, if you can get over the derpy model, this unit is an absolute unit, and I 100% recommend giving one a try, just to enjoy the look on your opponent's face when you explain that leaving him on 1 wound just gave him more attacks in combat. And here we are at number 1. Take a wild guess what this unit's going to be. It's been a Legion favourite for the best part of a year now, first really coming to the forefront when Mark Whitaker took them to the top 25 of a super major last summer, and finally convincing us naysayers that they were incredible as World Eaters. That's right, Warp Talons. They also just got a reasonable points drop, down to 20 points per model, making them a nice balanced 100 points for 5. After about a dozen games with them pointed that way, I'm finding 1 squad of 10 and 2 squads of 5 to be my sweet spot. 400 points spent on super fast aggro that rips and tears through almost anything in the game, and being absurdly powerful if you frenzy them and manage to go first. They still suffer as any Chaos Space Marine infantry does, but having a 5-up invuln and the ability to hop between obscuring cover easily enough can buy them a little bit of life that they may otherwise not deserve. I cannot even come close to listing the body count that my Talons have racked up for me over the last few months. Admittedly, sometimes they get removed before I get a chance. The flyer meta was especially not kind to them, but when they do get the target they want, boy oh boy is it a pleasure to watch your opponent's Army of the Month smile fall into despair. So, that wraps up my top 5 for the current meta. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Did I forget any obvious units? Did I give too much credence to an otherwise bland pick? Make sure to join us in the Discord as well. We're always coming up with awesome new jank to test out and try and push ourselves that little bit more, whether competitively or for fluff and fun. So, until next time folks, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main burn.